but that's right. 100 and something in the teens. It's all good. But best part is, the one thing I do know, because I was away last week, I had to postpone my favourite pony to my dog, the fantastic Ethan, from Outlaw HQ. And a very, very, very good morning to you, my friend.
Good morning. Hi,
Hi.
everyone.
Hi.
I'm upstairs at HQ too,
I
which is
know.
like
I was just going to
spooky.
say, you up there by your lonesome, or are you?
Yes, no, so I've reclaimed my nest upstairs, which is like really working for me because I, as you know, don't love being in that classroom downstairs.
No.
I find it a little oppressive. The ceilings up here are much higher, the windows are bigger, and I'm kind of a spoiled brat at the end of the day. And it's like, no, I want to be able to sit at my desk. And like, I'm looking out at my view, and I don't know if this is the kind of view that most people like would think or dream of, but it's very Christchurch. Like, there's a series of those pitched roof businesses across the way, like the old warehouses that have all been
Yeah.
converted. um, there's kind of a hideous car park, but it's hideous because it's the Colombo and that's just the nature of it. And then you can see the last like three tall buildings in Christchurch from where I sit. And so it's just, it really feels like I'm at home in Christchurch when I'm here.
Yeah.
And I guess for me, like I'm maybe Christchurch isn't everyone's happy place, but it's pretty happy for me. Plus, I've just had a big morning, lots of things going on, so it's
Yeah,
been
well, we're gonna
fun.
we're gonna dive into that, and of course, also too, your the office's resident Skeiner, I think, has been actually moved to his own
Yes, he's
skeining
been booted to
location.
his own building. Thank God, because like, oh, it was
It was
great.
getting
Like,
crowded up there.
well, it's just Deb and I require a lot. Like, I don't think people grasp that when you work in a creative industry, you have to spend a lot of time just thinking.
Yeah,
And so it felt like we didn't have our thinking space, and
yeah,
that gets really frustrating really fast.
yeah,
And so now we've reclaimed the whole upstairs is our creative domain where we kind of like dream up all of the stuff for all of you guys at home. And because it's been full of all the scanning, we just
yeah.
haven't been as inspired. So what we're doing is we're bringing the whole yarn library up and we're going to put it on permanent display up here. And then we're hopefully going to be taking one entire wall and chalkboarding it. And then we're
Ooh,
going to put a staff lounge up here so that we have kind of just like a more playful space to work from
yeah,
as well.
yeah.
And then for reasons yet to be disclosed to the rest of you, we are building a little film studio upstairs as well. So
Yeah. Oh, see that, I'd love that. Mind you, I have to
yeah,
admit, the teaching room the lighting is quite good,
the
and
lighting is good in there.
yeah, the lighting is
That
good in
like
here, so that's not quite so bad. And you've seen with our place, so I mean, as half my stash is on my desk at work, and so for
half.
people, yeah, well, no, not even half. Okay, maybe 10%, but
There
let's
we
not
go.
split that
Let's
here.
all be honest
Um,
about who we are.
yeah, let's be
Um,
honest. For those the offices that we have two desks like ply and pipe desks
yeah,
that run
that
the
run the
full
whole
length,
length.
of the room. So Claire has one half of the room and I have the other. So it's a bit like sisters sharing a bedroom, who's got the tidier half and who's got halves on it. It's so funny. And we've got bookshelves and yarn, and we're the same too, and a couch and
Yeah,
yeah, the thinking couch, as we like to call it, because that's where random people from the mill will turn up to think. And it's yeah,
I consider that my couch. I just want to be clear about
I
this.
know, I know, I know. I have told
Um,
them, but
but yeah, and so it's great. It's great everybody being spread back out.
yeah.
We have a lot going on at HQ, given the fact that it's like still level 2. But we do have a lot going on here, which is actually really, really fun. We have some
Well,
fun
so
surprises planned
let's
for Saturday.
so let's kick things off, because of course we are halfway through Outlaw October.
We are
Um,
halfway through.
We are halfway through Outlaw October. We've had a lot of people. I mean, obviously, a lot of people stocked up with our spring sale last month,
Yes.
to
So
get
good.
ready.
Perfect timing.
We're seeing lots of glorious projects posted in our speakeasy, and also,
Yeah.
so for those, it is the first thing I want to say. It is not too late to join in the fun of
No,
Outlaw October. So
absolutely not.
for those
Because any
who
project is welcome. Like, that's the big thing to remember,
absolutely. So for
big or
those who
small.
aren't aware of Outlaw October, Give us
Yeah.
the cliff notes of
Okay.
what they
So
can do and how to get involved.
Outlaw Yarn is clearly where I work, and Skeinz is unabashedly our biggest stockist, and we are so happy about that. So Outlaw October is the annual celebration of all things outlaw. So what this means is, unlike a lot of other places that kind of pick and choose and do tons of knit-alongs throughout the year with lots of prizes, as per usual, Deb does her own thing. Um, and so Deb declared, I know, right? Deb declared there would be a month-long annual celebration of the wonder of our yarns. And so what it is it's a month-long online this year, but hopefully soon again in person yarn party where you at home can join in with us and Marie, and I'm sure some of the staff at Skeinz are jumped in, and all of our staff here jump in. I actually have a couple of projects here to show you guys too. And we knit something. So in the course of 30 days, or normally longer, because Deb is the worst finisher of any project known to mankind, especially if there's a deadline. It's weird. No deadline, Deb, 5 minutes, project's done. Deadline, Deb, it's like, I don't know if this is going to be done on time. It's like, this is smaller than the other thing you made. And she admits this. This is not a secret here at
He's not
HQ.
good with deadlines.
No. And again,
neither am I.
outlaws, right?
Yeah.
No, I am the high priest of deadline knitting. Like I can knit something to the minute if I have to. So then what we do is there's always categories. So this year, Deb has gone much more classic outlaw broad categories. So you knit something in one of our yarns, you put a photo of the finished object up in one of the categories on Ravelry. And finished doesn't mean blocked. Finished means off your needles, okay? So like no stress. This is a non-pressure event. It is an incredibly supportive community. We have a big chat thread going on Ravelry. You can reach out in the speakeasy. You can reach out in the layer if you're a member of the Outlaw Yarn layer on Facebook. And you can also find us on Instagram. There's people posting everywhere. There's tons of amazing projects. There's been a lot of Nora Gone this year, which I do feel particularly proud of.
Yes.
I have gone down a kind of wacky Michelle Wang rabbit hole, which might have been ill-advised, but we'll see. I've started the second piece of mine finally. And so you just knit anything, an outlaw yarn in 30 days, you put it up online. We've also got a special, where are we? What are we looking at here? We also have a special section for the Amma Crochet Along, which is being run by, brace yourself for this name, Tina Thorsdottir. Everybody's favorite Icelandic crochet. I practiced. Everybody's favorite Icelandic crocheter. And another one for the Mystery Knit Along by my new yarn pal, Stephen West. So those ones run till the end of November. So it's absolutely not too late. Until Friday this week on the Outlaw Yarn website, there are still kits for the Mystery Knit Along, including one called Triumph, which might have been inspired by a certain person sitting on the other side of the screen for me. I directly stole the colors you held up and remade it in Rebel. Say what again? Oh, her name? No, once is enough, everyone. Once is sufficient.
Muriel, you're dreadful, Muriel.
Oh, she's so sassy, even over the internet. It's amazing.
You're terrible, Muriel.
And then, yeah, so I've got lots of projects to show you for some fun ideas of what you could do.
Yeah, so I mean, in next year, and I think one of the projects you've got sitting there is potentially so the first thing too is it isn't too late to.
It's not too late. Jump on in.
Particularly too, if you wanted to jump in on the Stephen West MCAL, because I mean, it's still only into Clue 1, Clue 1
drops this weekend.
Yeah, Clue 2 drops this weekend, isn't it? Saturday.
Yeah, and I'm ready.
Yeah, so I mean, and also there is the new Outlaw colors, the Bohemia colors.
Yes.
Up, and you can, and there's 5 of them. Oh, look at that. Yes. Oh.
Sorry, I grabbed Radiance as well.
Yes, because it makes it pop.
Well, it's just so like I am a cheater. Did I grab? No, I got Imperial twice. Did I? No, I grabbed Imperial and Silk, and I'm an idiot. But at least I'm cute.
But these would be perfect. These are utterly perfect.
Okay, so
to do it. And of course, you've
I'm
got the end
just
of November, so you've got tons of
I'm going
time.
to do a brief public service announcement for everyone right now who's watching. If you don't want to see any spoilers of the mystery knit along, avert your eyes now or skip ahead a little bit because I'm going to show you how some of these new colors work together. Because someone might have aggressively knit his way through the first clue before the end of Sunday, and I might have used almost all of those colors. So just, you know, if you're looking for something really, really fun,
Yeah.
so I kind of went in a different journey with shawlography than most people did, because I'm a little bit of a nutter. So in the pattern, in all the videos, if you haven't seen it, he tells you to either start with the darkest color or the lightest color. Um, I decided to go dark
Hmm.
and moody initially, and then use all of my bright pops and my creamy neutral, which
Yeah.
is parchment, in that in between section.
Yeah.
Um, I'm knitting this on the recommended needle size, and so you can see that it's got a really crazy amount of density and texture because it's like sport-ish weight yarn that's been knit down at that size. Now, I did not look at any photos or anything in advance. I just kind of cast on and went for it because I trust my knitting skills. I did listen to Stephen and I did have a sixth color on hand because originally I was using all of the new colors, and I elected to switch out, I want to say silk for
The radiant.
parchment.
Oh,
Silk,
parchment.
yeah, sorry. I switched out silk and imperial for radiance and parchment because we had just gotten radiance back in,
Yeah.
and I'm actually a sucker for yellow, which
Yeah.
people don't really know, but it's because I only like bright yellow.
Yeah.
So I think it's come out pretty freaking fantastic, to be
Yeah.
honest.
It looks
Um,
amazing.
I've I've looked at a lot of other people's versions, and I think mine is the best, and I'm quite smug about it. So yes, so if you want to join in the mystery knit along, use all the new colors, do something crazy. Um, I have not steamed mine or blocked mine. I do have kind of insanely perfect tension. Marie, unfortunately, has watched me knit and knows that what I knit is how it comes out once it's blocked.
Mm.
My knitting doesn't really change. It's just like a weird fact about me.
Mm.
And it's super, super soft and glorious. And I have to say, I freaking love, I think people are calling them like caterpillars and stuff, but I've been referring to them as tentacles.
Are
Um,
these the loopy bits? Is these the loopy
yeah.
things that
So
everyone's
there's
talking
these
about?
like very dimensional loops on the edge of the shawl. And I have to say, when I was reading the instructions for it the first time, I was certain that he was going to be doing something else with it. And instead, he kind of just like subverted all expectations and he's just turned it into this like textural embellishment. And I don't know, I love it. It's so soft and squishy. The colors have come through in such a
Yeah.
cool, cool way. I think using the dark background gives it kind of like if people had made stained glass in the 1980s, this is what it would have looked like.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, anyway, it's kind of a wacky idea, but if you're looking for something fun, like just purely fun for the sake of fun, and remember, this is a hobby, it should be fun. I know that I'm sitting here dressed entirely in brioche and black, and that's a very like serious thing, except my hat's made of a spin cycle, so clearly I didn't take this project seriously. Um, if you're watching Kate and Co, I'm sorry, but your yarn is fun, not for serious things. Um, and so, like, this is just for fun. Just jump in, do it, get in on Outlaw October. You've got tons of time to get it
Mm.
done. You don't have to knit the clue in 24 hours like I do. It's just I have a lot of other things on the needle, so I do have to knit each clue in 24 hours. I've
Yeah.
only got so much time.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Well, I
yeah,
have a confession to make. Oh, yeah. No, I purchased it, and no, I'm not doing it. The head is not there at the
that's
moment.
fine.
I
That's
know.
fair.
I
See,
know.
I'm like, I'm pretty sure the first time that I'm actually following along with the clues. I am the famous uh, mystery knit along cherry picker, where like I sit and wait until the last clue comes out and I look at them and then I decide if I'm going to knit it. And then I just spend like a week, that last clue interval, and I just knit it as fast as possible and pretend like I participated. Um, this is a real fact. I have done it. I think I did it for Exploration Station because I don't like wedges normally. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
a big fan of a short row wedge shawl. Sorry, Sylvia McFadden, if you're watching, you're not, but if you are, um, not my thing, girl.
Mm.
I definitely did it with Starflake.
Yeah.
Like, I bought Starflake on time, and I'm pretty sure I ended up knitting Starflake in, like, 4 days from
Yeah.
start to finish because I just was like, "I don't know what he is doing with this," like, it started off very I'm kind of enjoying how weird the beginnings of
Yeah.
these shawls have been lately,
Yeah.
like, the thing is, there's a lot of designers who claim that they're doing interesting things. There's most designers who just aren't. And Steven's work has shifted from being really yarn dominant. So
Mm.
the reason that I love this mystery knit along in the previous mystery knit along and the one before it, the last three where he's done mostly solid colors, is as much as I love hedgehog fiber, the reason I think that Steven has gone towards doing solid colors is twofold. One, he sells solid color yarn.
Mm.
Two, you can't really substitute for hedgehog fiber.
Yeah.
If something is designed in a fade or in a specific colorway from hedgehog fiber, while there are lots of other places that do speckles and lots of other places that do beautiful hand dyed yarn, no one has ever really
No.
gotten what Beata has done.
Yeah.
And so when you try to like make a fade project that's designed for her yarn in someone else's, it it
Doesn't
just
work.
doesn't work. And
No.
it's so funny because you can take hedgehog fiber and put that into anyone else's pattern and it looks sometimes even better than the
Mm.
original. Like I'm thinking of some of the Suzanne Summer stuff that I've been knitting
Mm.
lately where I've taken hedgehog fiber and
Well, that
substituted
was
it
the
in
rose cardigan, I think, would be a classic example of that.
the rose cardigan, which is
Yeah.
a Labiana May one, and I obviously love Labiana May. I check at it for them.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
knit samples for them. I love them to bits and pieces. Their yarn's gorgeous, but no one fades like hedgehog fiber fades,
Mm.
right? Like you just can't mimic it. Oh, Belinda, don't worry. Hedgehog fiber is no longer tricky to find because we have it all at HQ. So out of 144 colors, we are proudly stocking because we're not doing semi-solids or their solid colors. So we are stocking almost every single speckle at this point, and we hope next year that we will have all of those
Yeah.
speckles fully stocked all
And
time.
Belinda,
So
you've just made the point that I was going to
yeah,
make. Solids
solids make
make
it
it
more
more
accessible.
accessible, and you are
Yeah,
completely right. And I think Stephen's been really aware of that. I think he
yeah,
is. He's aware that at the moment people are wanting to. There's a lot more people knitting from stash. There are a lot more people
hmm
who are wanting to have different options that aren't always a luxury option because you can't always go there. And having it in solid colors means that you can do that. And I know in one of the videos I saw, he talked about textures. He was talking about not being afraid to mix
yeah,
textures with the shawl. So then if you
absolutely.
were wanting to actually get in on the fun, you could actually pull together a compilation from your
Anything.
entire stash. Yeah. And it would be really easier. Teresa, you asked me earlier what I'm wearing. This is Gold Wing by Jennifer Steingass. The coloured yarn is County Rainbow. Which I got from Yarns New Zealand. So yarnz.co.nz. And the grey is our oatmeal in Southland Sport. So that's what I've got.
Yes. And
Yay.
just as a side note, if you are going to make a gold wing, please make sure that you make a neck size that fits your body because
Yes.
Jennifer this is not Marie's fault. I want to stress this to all of
No.
you. Jennifer is lovely, but not to be trusted.
No, so like I mean see with mine up here, I actually, and you can't see it at the back, but Ethan is
Mm,
right. I actually added extra short rows in the back to
yeah.
fit. So
You can go through all the gold wing projects and see
yeah.
exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
And if
I'm not
something
going to
doesn't
stand up because mine is highly modified. So what you're seeing here is as the pattern is written. The body of the pattern is highly modified. So she is a
that
tiny
doesn't
wee
sound like
twig.
us.
I know, not like us at all. She's a tiny wee twig of a girl, and those twig days for me, darling, were so 40 years ago. So uh, it's
Well, as you know, I've been getting more and more serious about the weightlifting. And so like while I'm not chubby, I've gotten quite thick.
yeah,
It turns out as your abs get bigger, because mine now are starting to make a little tiny barrel, which is normal for men.
yeah,
Your waist actually gets larger,
yeah, yeah,
and my
yeah.
thighs are huge.
Yeah,
Um,
well, in the cycling too, because you've
oh
switched
yeah,
from CrossFit to cycling, so that will do it as
yeah.
well.
Ollie
Yeah.
lifting and cycling as a combination. It's just it's a thigh party. Now, just for those of you who might be thinking, but what if I wanted to jump in and knit a garment during Outlaw
Right,
October and
so I'm
it's the
gonna jump
last
down and give
minute?
you full screen. There you go.
So I started this less than a week ago. I'm knitting this for Deb actually. So I just need everyone to know this is not in an Ethan size. This is in a real human actual size for once. So if you're thinking to yourself, "Oh golly, I don't have time to do this," you do.
Oh gosh, that looks great.
Thank you. I'm so excited. So this is Oshima by Jared Flood. It's knit using our Rebel Destiny
Yeah.
It's knit using our Rebel Destiny light held double. This is such a creative pose. Please don't share this with people, everyone.
I love
Um,
that reversible rib too, that broken reversible rib, it's great.
it's actually full brioche.
Is it? Stop.
Yeah, it's one color brioche. It's fully
Oh, it is
brioche.
too, look at that.
Yep, and it's just come out so beautifully. So you hold the yarn double throughout. So it's a
Yeah,
fingering weight 4-ply yarn held double. I have seen it done in non-woolen spun yarns. This would be great in Little Bandit if you can't get your hands on Rebel Destiny Light. It would be excellent if you're not going to do this for October in Southland or Sport.
yeah.
It just needs something that has grip and texture.
I was just gonna say
Um,
that would be knitting up, held double so fast. Are you doing that, what, on a 5 millimeter?
so fast.
What's
No, so you do the body. He said on a 6.5 millimeter
oh
needle.
my gosh, that'll be
And
flying through it.
I actually went down to a 6 just because I like a dense, like, look at the nap on
I
that fabric.
know,
Like,
it's
it's
beautiful.
indestructible. And then I've been knitting the brioche on a 5.5 millimeter needle.
Yeah,
So, because brioche's gauge opens up quite a bit. So you have
yeah,
to make sure that you're going down at least one US needle size. And I just think it, like, I got Deb to try it on yesterday and just pinned it. I haven't blocked any of these pieces to sew it together yet. And it looked fantastic. So for
yeah.
all of you out there who are blessed with yardage, like our dear Deb is, and have no waist, and you're like, there's no patterns for me. All these things are for hyper curvy and blah, blah, blah when they get to a larger
Mm,
size. This is the largest size of Oshima. It fits Deb comfortably and it fits the yardage. So the girls fit
yeah.
into this really, really well because Jared Flood has done actual cup shaping
Oh,
right there.
fabulous,
So there
yeah.
is an actual short row almost effect from the way that he's spaced out these decreases that creates an actual, when I get my hand in the right spot, as you can see, it
Yeah.
actually flexes around a sphere without stretching out of space.
It's one of the things
So
that he
yeah.
does so well, because actually, and it's sitting on the mannequin, which is why I'm not going to grab it. But Guy Reichenbach has loaned us his atlas that
Ooh,
he did in
yeah.
Kelly and Co. And see,
So
and,
good.
and and we've actually placed it on a female mannequin
Mhm.
because it is exactly because of that. I mean, that is the beauty of what Jared does. Gender is
Yeah,
irrelevant. He just knits
absolutely.
beautiful things, and it is just amazing. And I think, and we're going to segue into that a little later because, oh, yes, no, we want to do
So
project.
I have one last surprise up my sleeve. So this
Oh,
is Stone Cutter by
oh,
Michelle
yes.
Wang. So I started this. This was my first piece of it. I'm on to the second piece now. It took about 6 days to do this. This is the back. Um, as per usual with Michelle Wang, she was like, "Oh, I can cable. I'm gonna do something crazy." So she took the concept of an Aran sweater and decided to modernize it and limit the amount of negative space in between the cables and instead put that negative space into the cables, which is a really interesting idea. It's kind of the antithesis of an Alice Starmore sweater.
Yeah.
The other thing about this one to tell all of you is as you get into the larger sizes, instead of you just doing more and more stockinette,
Mm,
which we all know is the curse of being a larger bodied person, is
mm,
eventually they're just like, oh, and now you knit stockinette or reverse stockinette. To keep the proportion balanced so that everybody looks like the model in this garment, she has actually just added more cables.
ah,
So
that
as you
makes
move
sense.
across, you just actually do more cables so that you maintain that textured elegance
Mm,
throughout the piece. It has a built-in peplum, so if you have hips, the shape of this, as you can see, actually dips at the bottom there. So it will actually go around your hips. And for those of you who have possibly some extra space at the front or back that you're not particularly thrilled about, this garment is actually built to accommodate all of that.
Mm.
And again, just that flawless shaping here at the underarm, so it's not going to stretch across the bust at all. And it has an incredibly deep arm side. So for those of you who struggle to get a good circumference for your
Mm.
bicep, this guy is the solution.
Mm.
There we go. This is
Yeah.
Ethan's Outlaw October so far. Working my way through it. We're getting there.
I am so hopeless. I literally, the head is just not there. I've gone back. I've gone back to shoji, and I'm
Oh,
actually,
good.
yeah, and I'm happy. It's been nice. I put that down obviously while I was finishing during lockdown, and I was wanting to finish off those couple of projects. Oh, I have actually. You'll be proud of me. Oh, I didn't put it on. It's sitting on the mannequin. I've designed a hat.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and I've designed. I'm going to talk about you at length about this after, but we'll tell everybody now. I've designed a hat. I've designed a hat in Kelly and Co. And it's just a modification of one that I do all the time, and it's a complete plain beret. I've done it specifically for 2 needles, and I'm going to flick it down to you to do your zhuzh to it, and then I'll get you to do the in the round, and then you and we can have it for the peoples.
Perfect.
Kelly and Co. So yeah, so I had done that. I did that last week.
I guess I should probably tell people that I will be sending away some Kelly and Co. to our prime sample knitter, Katie, with the correct sizing, because we are about to have a knit flat just on 2 needles, Aran weight, simple pullover design. So knit flat, easy seams. It's almost ready to go. So I will be sending that off, hopefully to Katie. She's hopefully not watching, so she doesn't yell at me. Hopefully to Katie the second week of November, which means
Katie
all
would
of your
never
summers.
yell. Yes, she would. Yes, she would. She would.
So all of your summer knitting dreams will come true this year.
Katie, the
Also,
color is fabulous because I sent that down a couple of weeks
the
ago.
color is
Fabulous.
fabulous. It's going to be amazing. And I'm going to have Katie knit this in an actual human size again, which I keep saying because we like a big sample here at Outlaw Yarn. Because you know what? The good thing is a smaller person, like a smaller bodied person like myself, can put on a bigger sample and see how a garment's going to look. The same thing isn't true if you're a larger bodied person. I just want to stress this. So like smaller bodied people out there, encourage your local yarn shops to be making more large samples because you are going to look fine in them and then it's going to fit everybody. The other great thing is I actually have a hat pattern that's about to be ready for test knitting. So if anybody watched along on Wardrobe Toolbox, they saw the first version of this. So this doesn't have the crown because I'm just finishing up the chart for that. So this little guy here is knit in Le Bien-Aimé. But I'm going to be, it's gauged actually for Kelly & Co. and
is that a tubular
Rebel.
cast on or is it a rolled over cast on?
It is it's my patented method of doing this that involves no smaller needle and no turning row. It's called Knit It. I'm not sure why people seem to think you have to do all these complicated things to get a great, beautiful folded edge. You don't. You literally just knit double the length and fold it in half and decrease it away. So this was shown first on Wardrobe Toolbox in the colorway Romance. This is pop grunge, but it'll look great in Kelly & Co. especially, and it'll look beautiful in Rebel. So this guy will be going out. My testing call will be going up next week because it turns out that I actually have already finished the chart and finished all the instructions. Who knew?
Overachiever.
Right?
No, that looks. I love the bobbles. Bring bobbles back.
Yeah.
Bring bobbles back.
They're really exciting baubles too. You make them in a, so this is not like a crocheted bauble. This is a fully knit bauble. And the reason that there's no gapping with my baubles is because I actually put twisted stitches and purls on either side so that it pulls the slack out of the stitches to stop the bauble from sagging or doing weird things. Because
one can't have a saggy bauble, darling.
No, because then it looks like something very inappropriate, and no one likes that. No one likes that. Do we sleep? Not both of us actually tend to sleep fairly well, Belinda, but just not a lot.
And not together.
We have a lot going on. Not together.
Not together.
No, even when not together. But neither of us really like. I don't know. I think we sleep in some ways.
Yeah.
I knit a lot.
Yeah, and Adele, bless you. Am I doing okay? If I'm brutally honest with you, Del, at the moment, no, I'm not. But yeah. But I think I'm like a lot of people out there at this stage. This week is exceptionally hard, but it's not yarn making my life difficult. So I'm actually, I can come to work, which is a happy place for me. So that is something always a really good thing. Now, we were talking a little bit before about the stonecutter, the Jared Flood designs, and just the genius of making these incredible designs for everybody. And when was it? Yesterday dropped your blog post on the Brooklyn Tweed site, which was beautifully written and absolutely, I mean, you and I have had this conversation I've over a lot of wine many times for over many months, and it is just brilliant because it is about setting ourselves free.
It is about setting ourselves free.
All about the freedom at the moment, and I read that this morning. I got a bit misty.
Thank you. I will be honest. I actually cried while I was writing it. I think a lot of you see a lot of me on different social media channels and stuff. I'm actually an intensely private person. I'm not a lot of queer people tend to be very out there with things and really love to talk about it and be very in the discussion about it. And it's not really my thing, which I think has put me in a unique place to actually talk about things because I live my life almost entirely with heterosexual people. Surprise, everyone. And that's not normal for a queer person. And I don't ascribe to any sort of gender because I think it's like it's all made up, so who cares? I just tend to wear what I like and do what I want. And I mean, I wear everything I knit, everything I make is quite gender neutral, I think, and very free of the ideas of gender. I'm wearing a technically women's jersey right now. This is, although it doesn't really show up because it's knit in black. So this is, yeah, so this is a crazy Michelle Wang idea that I had where I knit a fingering weight cable sleeve black jersey, which is kind of bonkers. This is crosshatched by Jared Flood. This is skipped by Jared Flood. Pretty much every day when I get dressed, I put on knitwear. And the thing that's been really beautiful for me over time is discovering that I can create the reality I want to see by knitting for myself. And I think that a lot of times we forget that we are actually limited by the choices given to us when we are purchasing clothes and stuff. And I think that for anybody who doesn't fit the ideal norm in a lot of ways, that people are completely ejected from the freedom of being able to choose what they want. We have seen this for years with plus size clothing. We've seen this for years on the same flip side, on the very small end of clothing, especially for adults, both men and women, male and female bodied people. You know, no matter who you are, if you don't have control over your clothing and what you're making, you lose a certain amount of freedom and you're forced to do things and make compromises that aren't naturally you. So I started knitting garments probably about 11 years ago now. Because for years I just knit accessories, or I especially I used to knit squares, like little piggy squares. We've all made them. Actually, I think it's a dishcloth pattern. I used to knit them and have someone crochet them together, and I would give away these blankets, and I did that for years and years. So for anyone wondering, I don't charity knit anymore because I don't have time for it, but I charity knit mostly for years of my life, and it's why I have such good tension, because I've made probably about 100 blankets.
Well, it's the
wax
on, squares. Wax off. I'm a big proponent of the wax on, wax off form of the more you do something, that it just becomes like a muscle memory. And
exactly.
And garment knitting does set you free. Like I didn't garment knit for years for myself because of all those conformities. I've talked about it before, is that, patterns would only go up to a certain size. I've been a plus size person the majority of my life. And now that there are size inclusive patterns, not all particularly well designed, I might add.
Nope. Here's looking at you, Jackie.
Just grading something up doesn't make it a good design. But I got to a point, like for me, the epiphany came that A, I was measuring myself wrong to begin with, but two, was actually like, fuck this, I've got the skills. I am going to make modifications and add things,
Yeah,
and and it is a process and it is a journey. Like I mean, for years and years and
absolutely.
years, I didn't do stuff, and I do it now. And when I speak to people in the store now, and how many times have you guys heard me in this format when I say rubbish? You can do it because you can. You just have
Absolutely.
to have the will to do it. And sometimes you've got to, you're in the space to do it. Sometimes you aren't. But it is just about, I think, what you said in the blog about having that mindfulness, having that
Hmm.
every what you put into every stitch is something that is meaningful to you, and this is something that you are doing for yourself. From really struck a chord for me, because that is why we do it. I mean, we do knitting because it's
Yeah.
fun, we do knitting because we love it, we do knitting because it makes us feel good, and it's
I very rarely knit for other people. It's a few and far between situation. And one of the reasons is that I think for me, like people always ask me what I do with all of my hand knits, and I do have a lot. I'm not going to lie.
Mm,
Like I actually was just talking to Deb about this because I have to come up with a new storage solution because all of my hand knits are taking. I live in a relatively small space, um, but I wear them all.
mm,
Like I'm, and they're mine. Like people are
mm.
always like, "Oh, are you selling that? Oh, will you ever do a sale of
No,
your samples and garments?" Nope,
no.
not a single one. They will live with me forever.
I do
I
cull from
have,
time to time. I every now and then, but it's accessories because there's only
yeah,
so many scarves and shawls and hats a girl can have. So I have to admit, I have sold accessories, but in terms of garments, no. And I don't know about you, but I've reworked them, I've embellished them, I've changed them, and I think I've only ever frogged and undone one.
I
Um,
don't think I've ever actually frogged an entire I've given one
yeah,
away and let someone else frog it, because it just didn't work. And like this is the other thing, every so often things just don't work.
yeah,
And like that is totally okay. Like
yeah,
just if something and I think that one of the things that we talk about really well actually lately, Deb and I and you, is that we you don't have to do what the pattern says. You
yes,
don't have to do these instructions. You can do what you want.
mm,
You can make modifications. You can be confident in this. The worst case scenario is you have to rip back and do it again.
yeah,
And sometimes you have to do it a few times. But you said already, it's a process, it's a journey. You're
mm,
doing this for yourself. And I think, the way that when I think back to the way that our grandmothers and great grandmothers knit, patterns in vintage books largely stopped at a 44-inch
yeah.
bust
Oh, if you were
on the
lucky,
large size,
yeah, if you were lucky,
And I just want to be clear with everyone out there. I don't think any woman in my family has ever had a 44-inch bust. Like it's just not a thing. But they knit their own clothing that fit them because they'd been knitting since they were young.
yeah.
They knew what they were doing. And so they would take a pattern and look at it and go, well, I like that and that and that. And they would start knitting and just change it on the
Yeah,
fly.
yeah.
And I think that I inherited that confidence. But like, just in case anybody at home has a false impression of this, I am only 10 years in, really, maybe 11 years in, as I said, to knitting garments for myself.
Mm,
I know that I have gotten to a pretty high degree of technical skill, but that's just because I'm curious. I can't help
mm,
it. I have to know everything about everything. Marie can certainly tell you that I know pretty much everything that goes on in this entire industry at
mm,
all times because I like information. Um, and I guess like what I want to say to people is just like how it's not too late to start Outlaw October, it's not
mm.
too late to start making things that you love.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah,
really, really something that we have been trying very hard at Outlaw to be clear with people. It is not worth it to keep working on something that you don't love.
yeah, yeah,
Like there's a whole sunk cost myth out there that holds people hostage to this
yeah,
idea of, oh well, I spent all this money on this yarn. Oh well, I spent so many hours knitting this. Oh well, I told so and so I would make
mhm.
this thing for them. Oh, blah blah blah. Honestly, those are all
Let it
fake
go.
reasons.
Let it
Yeah,
go. Yeah.
You do
And as
not
Deb
need to do
says,
it.
Deb's famous line is "Frogging is finishing."
Frogging is finishing.
Frogging is finishing. And you do. Oh, look, I have to. Yeah, I cannot tell you how many times I have done something and I've started working on it and I've gotten so far and it's like, yeah, I am so not feeling this.
I guess my thing is I don't even get to that point. Like if I'm not feeling something, like so to be clear, everyone, I'm a monster. I buy yarn faster than anyone else we know. Even though, and I to be clear, I get given yarn all the time. Um, People all over the world send me yarn. My mother, my poor blessed mother, carefully packs it into various boxes that will one day arrive here. Poor woman. I have so much yarn. It's such a situation. And the thing is, still just buy more yarn. Now,
Mm,
I do occasionally give yarn away, but normally it's because I've started working with it or I get partway through a
yeah,
garment and I'm just like not interested. And I don't frog. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. I know other people frog and then start again and stuff. No, I can't. I honestly can't think of a time where I've gotten to a point in a garment where I would have had to have frogged it and started again. I just it's so I guess what I'm trying to say to everyone is you don't have to.
mm,
This is a hobby. There are no
yeah,
have tos. And this should be fun and enjoyable and freeing and refreshing. And if it's not those things, then put down what you're working on,
yeah,
go onto Ravelry, send us an email, pop into one of our shops, and we will help you find something that is
yeah,
actually fun and refreshing. This world has been a complete escalating shit show for the past 2 years. And I think that occasionally we all just need a little honesty and let Marie and I be your kind aunties in this moment to sit there and go, you don't have to do any of this.
mm,
You don't have to love or like anything that you're working on. You can rip it all out. You can throw it into the corner. You can buy new yarn. You can start again. No one gets to judge you for your hobby. No one. I don't care if you're doing this for money. No one gets to judge you for it. If you don't want to knit something anymore, you don't have to. You should stop and go and get something that you actually want to be working on. It doesn't matter how much money you spend on it. It doesn't matter if it is what is making you happy
mm,
right now. This is the time to go ahead and do it. It's
mm.
not that it's like there's nothing wrong. There's also nothing wrong if you're someone who just likes to buy yarn. Yarn collecting is actually a hobby that both Marie and I participate in. I
Frequently.
guarantee you, we both own yarn. Neither one of us have any intention of
No,
casting on with.
no.
There's no way any of the random Portuguese wool in my stash is ever going to get knit.
Yeah,
Why did I buy it? Because it was weird,
yeah, yeah. I've
you
got
know,
Lopi. I've got a lot of Lopi like that.
right?
I've got stuff from
I
the
think we
Faroe
both
Islands.
probably
I've
do.
got
Oh
yeah.
my God. I I own 2 bags now because I found another bag finally of American
Mm,
Scenic, which is probably the most expensive yarn ever made. I'm never gonna knit with it.
yeah,
That's never gonna. I don't have time. Like so, like just do not.
yeah,
You guys, everybody out there who's listening, please, 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 if you don't take anything else away from our conversation today, stuff is really, really serious. Stuff outside of knitting is really, really hard. And there are a lot of people in this knitting community for some reason who are just intent upon making this another place to have those conversations and do all of that stuff. And I just want you to hear me. You don't have to.
no,
This can just be the place where you come to have fun, do what you want, and really, really enjoy yourself.
yeah,
Buy some, I'm gonna swear now. So buy some fucking yarn, knit it or don't knit it. Who cares? Get some needles that you love. It doesn't matter. Do you have 4 sets of needles? Who cares?
mm,
Big deal. How many drills do some men own? Like, let's move on from the shame of this.
yeah,
This doesn't have to be practical. Very, very few of us are knitting for warmth any longer. And if you are knitting for warmth, you are a fucking rock star. And
yeah,
we are happy that we both sell yarn at prices that you can afford to knit
mm,
and keep yourself warm. But if you are doing this and it is your hobby, you don't have to have a budget. You don't have to care if you make anything. We don't care if you do.
no,
We just want to know that you guys are here and having fun and doing something that you love and enjoy.
Yeah.
We can help you find the things that you are going to love. I'm just done with all of this stuff, and it's going to be great. Because if you just come to this with a sense of like, I want to work on what I want to work on, I want to do what I want, and I want to find things that work for me and make me happy, then every time you reach for that project, if it's finished, if it's unfinished, if it's something that you wear every single day, you're going to still love that thing.
Mm.
This is the whole secret. I feel like people totally forget that if you go out and you buy yarn that you love from us, yarn that you love from someone else, although why you're buying yarn from anyone else, I don't know. I'm kidding. A little bit, not really. Go and buy what you love. It
Mm.
doesn't matter what color it is. It doesn't matter if you're going to knit with it or not. It is absolutely what you need to do for you right now. Whatever is making you happy in this moment, that is where you spend our time. Our good friend Julie from Harney Hoolies
Mm.
has made a really important point in all of her posts lately, talking about making sure she's doing something every day that sparks joy for her,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that is what is getting her through difficult times. And I talk a lot about investing in yourself and investing in the people around you and
Yeah.
investing in those things of joy. You know, one of the best things that I do pretty much every day is unless it's raining and awful, I walk 5 minutes up the street to a cafe and I take that time out of my day to
Mm.
get a cup of coffee and to appreciate what's going on with the weather and all these other things. Because those little investments, that's what incrementally makes your life better.
Mm.
I'm a really big fan of a phrase. I don't know if I came up with it. I don't know if I heard it somewhere, but you know, these are the good old days. I think one of the things that we forget about is as we are moving and doing and surviving and rushing through what's happening, especially right now, it's so easy to get caught in this trap. We forget that you are going to look back upon this time at a certain interval. So these are the good old days.
Mm.
So take this time with the people that you care about, and most importantly, with yourself, because the longest relationship you're ever going to have in your life is with yourself.
Mm.
There's nobody else that's going to be around with you as long as that, no matter what happens. And so you deserve to
Mm.
be happy with what you're doing. And I think that's kind of like
Yeah.
my big
Yeah.
rant lately is just, if it's not fun, like,
Don't do it.
fuck it in the bin. Like,
Yeah.
who cares? Just chuck it behind you,
Mm.
rip the needles out of the project, march on forward. Maybe you'll come back to it in 6 months. If you do, fuck yes, that's awesome.
Mm.
Maybe you won't. And you know what? That's awesome too, because you can come to Skeinz, you can reach out to us online, you can come to Outlaw HQ, you can join any of our groups, and you're going to find a group of people that are going to be
Yeah.
saying this exact same thing to you. That this is not about any of those other things. Like, you don't need to have a perfectly manicured knitted wardrobe with all coordinating colors. No. Honestly, if you want to knit with 6 shades of ochre and that's the only thing you want to knit with, you knit with 6 shades of ochre. If you're someone who's like, all I want is cream, great.
Go for
And
it.
on the flip side of it, if you want to take every single color, every single speckle known to mankind and knit it into one big garment and just parade around in it, you know what? All I can say right now is more fucking power to you, to
Yeah.
anybody doing what they want with this. This is freedom. You
Yeah.
don't have to do anything you don't want to. You can knit any pattern with any yarn.
Yeah.
You will get there. And I think this has just been like my big thing recently. Like, I've started sewing my own clothes. And I might have just bought a crazy French pattern from a place called DP Studio. And I was telling Deb about it last night. And it has a giant, giant bow on it. Like, huge. That's the whole collar treatment, is just a giant bow. And I am going to sew this thing. I bought the fabric.
See, I've just had a flashback to 1980s school balls. How many in
Yeah,
here have had that flashback? Because I've just, that's what I, or, oh, has anyone had, did anyone get tortured with the bridesmaid's dress like that in the 80s? Oh, I did
my
once.
sisters did. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But then, in saying that, there's a music video that I saw, and I think it's Anne Marie and Niall Horan, and she has got a dress on, and it's set sort of styled in the 60s with this incredible bow treatment across the shoulders. It looks amazing. No, I think, and one of the things that I want to say to add to all of that is, don't let anybody steal your joy. Don't let them be a joy eater, and don't let anybody steal your power. Because I think, and this, for a lot of us right now, we have had so much taken away from us. And especially, I saw, there's some here from Melbourne I saw in there, and actually no one can take your power away from you. Nobody. You're a sovereign citizen, and you just remember that you grasp those things, that you relish them, enjoy them. As Ethan said, and Julie too. If you don't follow Julie from Harney's Hoolies, please do, because she's so wise. And go back and have a look at the Quarantine Diaries too. Julie and I had a fabulous
wonderful
conversation,
chat.
A wonderful chat about this. We wanted to talk about this, and I think it's really important to do that. I think it's really important to remember that actually you do hold the power over you. You do, and don't ever think anyone can take that away from you. And if anybody is taking that away from you, think about why, because that's really important. And you have people in our communities. We've got wonderful communities, both the Outlaw Lair and the Speakeasy, and I just find them really joyous. They talk about yarn and what's going on at their places, and our theme at the moment is Spring Fling, and so there's lots of fun things happening.
So good.
And it's just so good to find those moments.
Just get amongst people who really, really are like reflecting what you want from relationships, right? Like, I think that's one of the big things that we forget about. Like, knitting can be super, super cliquey. I'm not gonna lie, I think I'm probably the high priest of my own little knitting clique. I know a lot of people. I weaseled my way into a lot of different spaces, and I kind of just, now, as Marie can tell you though, like, unfortunately, like, I go into all these spaces and I just do what I want. Which has always been funny. Like, I'm pretty sure there's a snippet of video somewhere of me yelling at Kim McBrien Evans and telling her that, like, I don't care. I do think that she's messed up some of her ideas. Like, it's just, I think that knitting, especially of late, has had this whole like aura of like, there's a right way and a wrong way to approach things. And it's just like,
one of the craziest things for me over the last few years, and everybody who is here and knows me and has been following me for a long time, that the roads that I have traveled down within this community. I am probably singularly one of the most polarizing people in the community, and it actually, whilst at the time wasn't fun, and there wasn't a lot of joy in there, looking back at it now from the community perspective, and you and I know I talk about this a lot, is actually it set me free. It has set me free, and it is because I now have gotten to a point where actually it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. It really doesn't matter. It only matters what I love to knit, enjoy, and to be able, for me, to be the ultimate enabler, and that's what you and I do incredibly well, to enable you, to set you guys free, to be able to do what sparks joy in your life and gives you that power over your knitting. I think is just, for me, that gives me tremendous satisfaction and joy. So it is
it's just gotta be, you know what, like, sprint towards the joy, abandon the other shit behind you. If people are trying, as Marie said, if people are trying to steal your joy, no. You know what? You know what we do? We cut those people out. Because that's what we do with disease. We cut it out. So, like, hard pass. No, I'm good. I'm done. Like, and just a quick reminder to everybody who is on social media, there is a really fun button that exists that you are free to use. It says the word block. No one is entitled to talk to you on social media.
What was my name for there for years? Ban, block, delete. Ban, block, delete. Ban, block, delete.
I just, like, I'm a big fan of the block button. I'm just like, no. And if you know me and you've followed me, you know that I put up a lot of things in a lot of different languages about cancel culture and how I think it is dumb and stupid and pointless and unhelpful. And so I will just be honest with you. Yeah, people run screaming to cancel people who don't like cancel culture.
Mm,
Suspicious, right?
yeah.
Funny that.
Already
Um,
much.
yeah. And so you just, when it comes up to this, especially this last one, just like turn around
Mm,
and delete it.
yeah,
You don't need
yeah,
that. Delete, ban, block, delete.
yeah,
BBD.
yeah, yeah, and you just
BBD, bye.
and also too, I spend a lot of time. I mean, as you know, a lot of our lives are spent in social media. I mean, Ethan, for
Mhm.
example, doesn't do Facebook at all, and I spend a lot of time. I'm very selective when I dip in and out now, and
Mm.
I don't. My phone never is the ringer is never on. It doesn't even have. Vibrate on. I
Yeah.
get, yeah, all my notifications are turned off. So if you actually find me a little bit elusive sometimes to get hold of, uh, there's a reason for that, and it's because you just have to. You just have to
Yeah.
sometimes give yourself some space. So if you're actually out there at the moment and you are finding it really, really tough, if you know what, go and grab your smartphone, or particularly if it is your phone, just go and pop it away in a cupboard for an hour or two,
Yeah.
or even a day. You will be surprised at the freedom that that gives you. Believe me.
Also, I have all my notifications turned off
Yes,
as
same.
well on my
Yeah,
device.
yeah.
Nothing comes through. See? All it has is settings. That's all you
Mm,
see there. This is a proof of concept. Um, I have a list. Just as a fun fact, you can make a favorites list on your
mm,
device. So there are about 20 people on my favorites list, and it pops up. Those people, their messages come right through. I think if you know me, you know the only way to get a hold of me is through my cell phone number.
mm.
I don't check anything else really frequently. And yeah, like y you don't have to be available, you don't have to be accessible.
Yeah,
Knit what you want, do what makes you feel good, and if it's not working, start over. Who cares? And if you need to talk to someone about it, you know where to find us.
yeah.
We're here to help. Like, genuinely, guys, I think that's the other big thing is like occasionally it can feel like you're really going it alone or like you're stuck. You're not. You're not alone. Other people are feeling this way, and you don't, sometimes talking about it might not make you feel better, but you know that there are groups you can go to now. There's two really great, genuinely safe
Mm,
spaces on the internet that you can go to and take a time out from everything else and just be like, oh, I want to look, brace yourself for this. I just want to look at some pretty pictures of knitting.
yeah. Yeah. And on that note, I think that's the perfect place to leave it. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. See, of course, we didn't talk about anything. We're going to literally, we went straight live to air because we were both running late. So, well, I was running late.
It's good.
So thank you so much. Thank you. If and as Ethan said, if you need to find any of our groups, that is the Outlaw Lair on Facebook or the Skeinz Speak Easy on Facebook. Just
Yeah.
look those up. Or also too, if you aren't a Facebook user and you don't want to use Facebook, you can find Outlaw Yarn also on Instagram, but also too, don't forget the Revelry group. Outlaws Revelry group is one of the few local groups that is still kicking and really vibrant. So do go
It
and
is
visit
fun.
them. Yeah, it is fun. So do go and visit them over there. So do make sure you do all of that. Thank you for joining us again today. I will
Yeah.
be Monday. I'm not sure about Monday. Could be a little bit. Watch out for notifications for Monday. I have an appointment with my youngest son, and the only time I could do it for him was on Monday morning. So you may even get a crazy Skeinz Diaries potentially from the inside of my car. We'll just see. I'll see how the day pans out with that. But anyway, I'll keep you posted on that. Or it could even be Tuesday. I may even end up just switching weekdays and going for a Tuesday and making my life easy for a change. Until then, have a great weekend, everybody. I will talk to you definitely, though, next week. New newsletter is going to be in the inbox. And
Woo!
remember, if you want to go to Outlaw Lair, Outlaw HQ, rather, Stanley Street in Sydenham
22
and
Stanley Street.
Close,
You know where to
22
find us.
Stanley Street. We will see you then. Take care.